Hey, happy Shin Kamen Rider Day! If you live in the US and you're watching this the day it goes public on YouTube, yeah, I definitely could have picked a better way to open the video, but you know what? Screw it. I'm excited. I'm very excited, actually, to finally get to see Anno's take on Kamen Rider, and to get to see a Kamen Rider movie in a theater for the first time in my silly little white boy life. And I'm looking forward to it, and I hope you are too. I hope you got tickets. I hope you're able to see it. If you live in the continental United States, hopefully you get off work early enough, or you were able to get the day off work. But yeah, gonna be interesting to see how this goes down, especially because the only people I've seen actually promote it are like Fathom Events and Shout Factory. So like I'm assuming Shout Factory did the sub, and like obviously Fathom Events has to promote it because they're the ones it's being done through. But like Toei hasn't promoted it, Team Rider hasn't promoted it. I don't know. It's weird. Not even like the theater company of the location I'm seeing it at has promoted it. It's I don't know. I tend to rant a lot about how like we promote Kamen Rider shit in the US more than the actual company does sometimes, but it is very annoying that like I've tweeted more about the fact and like made an actual video where I bring up the fact that like, hey, get tickets to go see the actual big tentpole 50th anniversary project than the people who are actually supposed to be doing that shit. But should probably make a video about something that's not just celebrating that. What can I talk about? What can I do? Oh, I know. How about we talk about the thing that inspired the movie? Yeah, that's right. If you're not aware, Anno didn't actually base most of his concepts for Shin on the original series. He based it on the classic manga that Shotaro Ishinomori did to promote the show. Yeah, that's kind of a misconception we have in the West, or at least in some sects of fandom. Rider wasn't actually based on a pre-existing Kamen Rider manga. It was adapted from concepts that Ishinomori originally came up with for a one-shot called The Skull Man, but it was an original concept that he made with Toei and Bandai, and then to promote the television show, he did a manga, and this is actually all of it. It's like 4 or 5 chapters because it released sporadically, and I'm gonna get into how that kind of affects the flow of the story in this as we go along. But first, I should clarify, like, hey, as of this recording, I haven't seen Shin, so I don't know what from this made it into the movie, and I've only seen about the first 40 episodes of the original series, which to modern Kamen Rider fans probably sounds pretty good, but that show's 98 episodes long, so I've still got quite a bit to go, and I was going to try and finish it before Shin released here in the West, but like I'm 2 weeks away as of this recording, and it's not looking good. But to get into the actual manga's story itself, it's pretty interesting because it starts off like trying to do a similar thing to the show, but it also has some interesting changes. Like, Hongo's origin is mostly the same as the first episode, with him getting kidnapped, turned into a cyborg, escaping, and swearing revenge on Shocker, but like, his character is a fair bit different, because he's not an average Joe motorcycle racer who also happens to be kind of good at science. He's like a billionaire philanthropist fancy boy motherfucker, like full-on Golden Age Bruce Wayne shit. And that will definitely throw you if you're not prepared for it, because it kind of changes the whole dynamic of how story flows in this manga compared to the show. Instead of it being like adventure of the week, Hongo encountering a one-off character and that leading to him uncovering a shocker plot and taking it down in quick fashion, it's really just him kind of hanging out, talking to his butler, Tachibana, and Ruriko occasionally showing up and going like, yo, did you kill my dad? Did Kamen Rider kill my dad? I want to know who killed my dad. And then Shocker inevitably shows up and tries to re-kidnap Hongo. That's kind of the flow of the first few chapters, which isn't bad. It leads to some fairly cool action sequences, and there's nice little moments of introspection of Hongo being all upset about being a cyborg and whatnot. But it does kind of leave you a little thrown if you're used to like the classic idea of who Hongo Takashi is. And the changes don't even stop there, because the way they introduce Hayato is completely different, because it's a manga. They don't have actor availability issues to worry about. They just have to keep it in line with the show as close as they can. So all that really means is we need to change the main character to a different guy who is also Kamen Rider. And how are we going to do that? Well, instead of having Hongo like just disappear off camera to go fight Shocker in another country and a new guy show up out of nowhere who also happens to be a Kamen Rider, we're going to have the Shocker Riders bust into Hongo's mansion, chase him into and through the forest like it's a damn fox hunt, beat him within an inch of his life, and then Hayato will be revealed to be one of them and just suddenly break out of his brainwashing, rescue Hongo, and get him back to the mansion in time to die. Hongo straight up dies. He's not sent off to another country. He's not laid up in a hospital bed after his beating. He dies, and then they harvest his brain and put it into a machine so he can live on as Hayato's guy in the chair. And Hayato just kind of inherits all of Hongo's shit, even though like there's no way they could have like legally arranged for that. I'm sure Hongo probably had like another actual will that like gave his possessions to some other person he knew or like some family member, but no, fuck that, this guy's got to be Kamen Rider. He needs all the money and high-tech gadgetry he can get access to. Like, it is kind of insane to read that chapter the first time, and it threw me as like one of the most wild moments in the franchise, in my opinion, which is kind of saying something, because this franchise can be pretty friggin' crazy when it wants to be, but it doesn't stop there, because the very next chapter is also the final chapter of the manga, and is essentially an extended sequence of Taki finally appearing in the book and teaming up with Hayato to destroy Shocker's main Japanese base. But then right after that, a kid Hayato had befriended up and fucking dies of leukemia, and Hayato's reaction to it is to just remark like, oh, yeah, we destroyed Shocker's Japanese base, but they got bases all over the world. This fight's never gonna end. Which is supposed to sound like hopeful and like, oh, the story can go on, and like he's still ready to fight even in the face of tragedy, as Kamen Rider always is. But to me, it just came off as like the bleakest shit in the world. Like genuinely kind of a downer ending. There's never gonna be any rest for our hero. And hey, guess what, kids? You'll fucking die one day too. Like, it really does give the impression that Ishinomori was just kind of doing whatever he wanted as long as he kept it in line with the show on the surface level. Like, he probably had almost total control as both writer and artist here. And speaking of art, as a modern Western comic reader who doesn't delve into manga too much, I have to say, Ishinomori's art is good, but it's not as good as I would have expected it to be. Like, all the splash pages are immaculate. Well, most of them are immaculate. There's a couple of kind of weird ones where the characters look a little bit wonky because it's an early attempt at foreshortening in comics. But for the most part, those are good. I'll probably end up using one of them as the thumbnail. But like everything else, the actual like dialogue scenes or like the in-between points of the fights, kind of flat, kind of bland, not really anything to look at. It's a little disappointing as somebody who, like, for years and years and years as a Kamen Rider fan, Ishinomori has been built up as, like, this legendary, great figure in manga and Japanese pop culture. And maybe that's partially my fault, but maybe that's also partially the fault of, like, people who are stupid enough to go on documentary shows and call him the Stan Lee of Japan. Overall, though, I am glad I read this because, like, it's a really interesting alternative take on the show. It's cool to see, like, the more artistic version of what some of those goofy original monster suits were supposed to be straight from Ishinomori's mind. And also, like, I've got sentimental attachment to this particular copy because I actually picked it up at the Modular Summit last year while on a toy and comic hunt with Boingo Rider and Snowcone 83. And, like, that was a really nice day out with the boys, and there was also just the fun moment of when I went to check out with this and a few other things at 2nd and Charles, the cashier saw it and went, "Oh, I don't know if you're aware of this, but there's a live-action version you could check out on Tubi TV right now." And I was, of course, like, "Yeah, bitch, I know Kamen Rider. I know real fucking Kamen. I'm the real fan." No, I was like, "Oh, thank you. That's very nice." And now, on the off chance that older lady is watching this video, thanks. You're a real one. But, like, I already knew. So yeah, that's my take on the original Kamen Rider manga. Maybe later in the year, I'll do a video of my thoughts on Shin Kamen Rider and the original series. But for now, I'm gonna call it here. And hey, remind y'all, like, if you like my content, like, comment, subscribe, Patreon, merch store. I have a Tokusatsu podcast. All the things. Check out all the YouTube, do the algorithm engagement stuff, and go see Shin Kamen Rider tonight. Support Western official releases of Kamen goddamn Rider. I'm not asking, I'm telling. Go see it. Wait, what time is it? Oh shit, I need to go see it. I'll see you guys later. Bye.